First ride was awful. It's very hard, about 4.5 minutes.
My first ride on the trainer was maybe 5 minutes on, 5 minutes off for a while.
Lasted a few minutes. That was about it until the hip flexors were fried.
My first ride was, I got him set up on my road bike. First ride was on the trainer. And I got on and started spinning for about 30 seconds. After those 30 seconds, I had to stop because my feet were at completely the wrong angle to each other. So I leveled them out, went again for another minute or so, had to stop again, went on like that for the next 2 hours.
Really?
Did 2 hours the first day.
And how were you walking after that?
The walking was fine, but any stairs, I couldn't lift it very high. First ride lasted 10 seconds indoors, and I rode on them for about 3 weeks indoors to be safe, learning to get out of them and everything, and starting out.
It was disaster. It was total disaster. I almost fell down from the bike, and just being close to something stable served me. It just showed me how my pedaling was before, and what an improvement I can gain, I think.
It was 5 minutes, and I couldn't get my leg up to get in the shower after I got done.
My first ride, it was 20 minutes inside of trainer, and then I couldn't move, so I was really sore, so I said, no way.
Yeah, my first ride lasted about 5 minutes, and I was swearing an awful lot. I had to get off my bike after half an hour, because I could only ride for a minute, then rest for a minute, ride for a minute, and rest for a minute. The timing wasn't so bad, but my hips were burning so badly that I had to stop every once in a while. After half an hour, I was done. So.
My first ride was on the stationary. It was in March, late March, a couple of years ago, and it lasted 10 minutes.
Well, my first ride at PowerCranks, I thought my legs were going to fall off, but hip flexors and whole muscles that I probably never thought existed.
Painful. 7 miles and I called it quits. Went out thinking it was going to be no big deal, and I was riding hard and going around corners, both legs would drop. And about 7 miles in, I said, I'm done, I'm going home. Almost called for a ride back.
But the first time I put them on my bike, I went out and I did a 30-minute bike ride. I felt fine, but towards the end, I was getting really tired.
Awful. It's hard. I had to ride home one-legged. My left leg got tired, and I probably had to cut the ride short quite a bit, maybe just an hour.
I'm a track racer, and
what was your first ride like?
First ride was pretty tough. You're not used to pulling over the top, and it was a challenge to keep the cranks where they should be. And now it's just a piece of cake.
And my first ride on it was maybe 3 minutes, and I was out of breath, and I thought, oh, this is awful. My knee is a lot worse than it was. But it wasn't my knee, it was more my stroke.
Very difficult. First ride, I think I could ride about 20 strokes and had to start coasting. Now I ride, my longest ride on them so far is 130 miles.
The first 2 or 3 rides, I was almost in tears.
Well, that's hard to remember, but it was really tough. It was really tough. It was an indoor ride, and 5 minutes probably.
Cranks my second year on PowerCranks. The first 3 weeks felt like 5 years, but once I got to ride the PowerCranks properly and once my muscles adapted, the time flew, and 2 years.
First ride was interesting. Being a track racer, I thought that I had a really good spin, and I actually lasted about 45 minutes, and I was really tired. And I realized that there was a real dead spot on what I thought was my dominant leg, and actually was the worst leg of the two, which was my right.
My first ride was a mess. I couldn't ride for more than 10 minutes, and that was it. But
first ride, I got 2, maybe 3 blocks, and was just exhausted. I had to get off my bike, stop for about a minute or so, and then 2 blocks, stop for a little while, 2 blocks. It was just kind of that for the entire ride.
Is that about what you expected?
I didn't know what to expect. I've been told that it was completely different and just would just take all the energy out of you. I just couldn't believe it was actually like it, though. But yeah, I knew it was going to be bad.
It's very difficult. I think I lasted about 5 minutes.
I can. The first one was in a trainer, of course. I think it was too risky. The first ride was in one of the expos, but I just play with it. The first ride was really in my trainer, and it was like weird, just feeling weird. Then I went to the road, and it was like pain. The first one, I thought it was gonna be the pain maybe in the hamstrings because you have to pull. But I have a weird pain in the front of my legs. That's the weak point that we have, and we don't know we have that weak point.
Yeah, I rode about an hour, which most people say they only go a few minutes, so I went about an hour, but I can really notice my hip flexors were really working, and I can notice, holy cow.
But you live in Canada, right? Do you do any cross-country skiing or anything like that?
Yeah, I do lots of cross-country skiing. All winter, I ski about 5 times a week, classic and skating.
Because we found that people do like cross-country skiing tend to have better first rides because their hip flexors are in better shape than the average dude.
Especially from the classic skiing. Yeah, it's totally the same action. Yeah.
Horrible. I suffered and I just about had to walk home.
It was horrible because I did 20 minutes and I was fried. I was, but this was very good because I was ambiguous. Ambiguous? Is it the English word for? I was motivated very much to get along with those because I knew friends had them and they were riding for hours and hours on them, and I thought I would be a good rider. I had a good style, but this wasn't the case.
I remember the first time very clearly. I had a bunch of friends with me, and they were just laughing because I actually couldn't pedal for more than about a minute without resting.
Lasted about 10 minutes. I went in and tried to do, I was going to try to do 30 kilometers. That was my planned training ride, and I was very humbled very quickly. About 10 minutes, like I say, 5-10 minutes, and I had to stop because my hip flexors are on fire.
It was extremely difficult, but I persevered, and now I train exclusively on PowerCranks. I'll do up to 3 hours on them.
It hurt like hell. Actually, I managed 15 minutes, the next time 20 minutes. Each time it wasn't agony, but it was very uncomfortable for maybe the first 3 rides or so. But I soon got over it, and as soon as I built up that muscle, it became no problem whatsoever.
First ride, actually I called Andrew because I lasted about 45 minutes, which was much longer than he said anyone was capable of lasting. But I didn't ride then for about 3 days.
First ride was very tough. I did it on my trainer, and just a few minutes, and I get off and get back on, and keep doing that during the winter, so it was quite okay.